You were listening to Ali and Leighton with the song Beyond here on Faith FM as we continue with the show. And of course, it is now time for Question of the Day here on Faith FM. Lawson, what is our question of the day today?
Our question of the day is, does the Bible talk about premarital sex?
Now, apparently you were saying that you heard somewhere some story about this the other day?
Yeah, I heard on another radio station someone say that the Bible does not talk about premarital sex and that it's okay.
So, a quick search on the communicator with like 35 references to it, but that's okay. This is an interesting question coming in from a listener. What does the Bible say about premarital sex? Very simply, the Bible says don't.
Yep. End the show. There you go.
Next question. Okay, so let me just give you an example of this. And this comes from Matthew chapter 15. And we're going to read from verse 19. It says, "For out of the heart proceed evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornication, theft, lying, and blasphemy." It's interesting in the context of this that fornication is placed in the same context as murder and stealing and lying, and you wouldn't really expect that to be the case. So adultery, usually, typically in adultery, but not always, one or both of the couple are married who is participating in this illicit relationship. With fornication, the assumption is that neither of them are married. In other words, this is outside of the marriage vow. So just considering this for a moment, we have to ask ourselves, what is the basic foundational principle to biblical morality? Is biblical morality arbitrary? Did God just sit up in heaven and say, okay, I'm going to make up a whole moral system here that there's just an arbitrary system that simply is, this is what I like and this is what I don't like, and therefore you guys have to live with it? Or is there something else that is the basis for it? And I want to put out there that biblical morality is identical to secular morality. So secular morality says, do no harm. Okay, that's the foundation. That's okay. If it's not doing any harm, then go ahead and do it. And of course, in secular morality, they will then use that concept of do no harm to do all kinds of things that do a lot of harm, simply because they don't believe that it does any harm. But just because you don't believe that it's doing harm does not mean that it is not doing harm. So what harm could there be in having sex outside of the marriage relationship? Well, first of all, when you open that door, you open the door to a lot of young people, and typically, people start at a very, very young age to have sex. My generation was particularly bad at this. Most of my friends, when I was in school, began to be sexually active around about 12 years of age, thereabouts. Some of them were like really embarrassed because I didn't lose my virginity until I was 14. And so I had friends that were within that category as well. That is not going to create a healthy environment. In fact, the younger a person begins to become sexually active, the higher their divorce rate is within the first 5 and then in the first 10 years of life. And it's dramatically higher. So somebody, say for instance, amongst women, their divorce rate in the first 5 years of marriage is twice as high if they became sexually active before the age of 18.
Wow.
And in the first 10 years, it is 47% to 27%. So it's still fairly similar, nearly twice as high. And so God doesn't like to see people go through pain. Divorce is a painful thing. And basically what God is saying is, look, if you want to have a happy life, and nobody's ever going to mess up their life by being a follower of Jesus, He's saying this is a better path. This is a path that is going to bring you less harm and less heartache than if you go down this other path over here. And so if you look at a relationship, for instance, relationships, people become boyfriend, girlfriend, etc. And the purpose of that is so they can get to know each other in preparation for marriage. They're painful when they break up. It's a good thing when a wrong relationship breaks up before marriage. Infinitely more painful if the couple have been sexually active. The success rate of marriage, becoming a lifelong commitment, is 22% higher amongst people who wait until they're married to have a sexual relationship, and then of course they have the opportunity to develop that sexual relationship over a whole lifetime and for it to improve and to grow within the context of a committed relationship. This is Matthew Mould. You're listening to Faith FM.